Hey guys, Billy here. I'm a multi-gladiator hunter, and this video is a Dragonflight PvP guide for BM Hunter. Within it, I discuss the new talent trees, the new honor talents, stats, the best comps, as well as the best pets and the new rotation for BM Hunter. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking of Dragonflight so far, or if there's anything you'd like me to go over or feel that I missed in this video. Feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest hunter content, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Okay, so let's start off with talents. Since entering Dragonflight, the talent trees have been massively changed to an overhaul of how they used to be back in old WoW, such as in Classic, TBC, and Wrath. So these talent systems are much more complicated on first glance because they're not just three options. You have a lot more options that you can pick, and overall it provides a lot of different types of game styles, so I really like these new trees. On screen now is the talent which I'd recommend running into most things, and I'll walk through why I think this for most talent points. So obviously you want concussive shot just because of the range slow, counter shot for the range kick, post haste is just very nice to have to get out of roots and to increase movement speed, kill shot is just for the extra bit of damage on low targets, and then you can go improve kill shot as well. You could also put improved kill shot into natural mending if you didn't want this here. This is really personal preference, although I do think the extra killshot damage can be quite nice, especially for finishing off a low target. And then for survival of the fittest, you pretty much always want this if you know you're going to be hit at all. If you know for a fact you're not going to be the target, maybe you don't need to pick it, but most of the time I would pick survival of the fittest. Tar Trap is also essential just because you are going to want to be using it to kite away enemies, even if you're not the target. Trailblazer in general isn't very good, just because you are normally trying to attack, so you don't really want to have to like not attack to use Trailblazer. Like it's not very good. This improvement pet is quite good versus certain things. For example, versus Rogue Mage, if your pets get ringed, this would have a chance to remove it, but it's not going to be worth the 4 points that you have to put in to make it useful. Trank Shot again is pretty much always going to be used unless you are never going to have to dispel an enrage or a magic effect, but you're pretty much always going to need to do this, so I'd always take Tranquilizing Shot. Entrapment is a root whenever Tar Trap goes off. This again is really nice as it will help you kite much better, especially versus double melee. Improved Traps is also very nice. It just makes the cooldown of your traps 5 seconds shorter. So for example, you can do a go every 25 seconds instead of every 30. This next node is very situational and what you prefer. So Survival of the Fittest reduces damage by an extra 20%. This can be really good if you know that you're going to be the target, just because you're going to be able to pre-wall, and then you're going to take 40% less damage for the duration of the Survival of the Fittest, so 8 seconds. However, this one can be good if you know that they're going to be spreading quite a lot, just so that you can use it to help reduce the amount of damage onto your team in general. But normally, I'd imagine that we're going to be running at Nature's Endurance. And then I'd always run with Intimidation. I can't really see a situation where Explosive Trap is better, because you're pretty much always going to want your stun to be able to stun the healer. Scatter is normally always better than Binding as well. The reason for this is Binding is now a stun when they move away instead of just a root. So this means that if you accidentally binding at the wrong target, or some target runs into your binding, then you are going to like stun them, and this puts them on DR. So in general, binding normally isn't going to be worth it unless you know for a fact you're going to need it. But yeah, in general, I'd always run with Scatter, and then you can use it on the off target when you're doing your goes. And then I would run with Camo almost all the time as well. Camo is just extremely good, for example, if you need to res your pet, or if you just need that extra bit of healing if you're able to get out of combat. This next point is pathfinding, so movement speed is increased by 6%. This is very good, but if you prefer, you could put 2 points in the Born to be Wild, and then take away another point from the Rejuvenating Wind, and put it to get Sentinel Owl. Personally, I didn't really like Sentinel Owl because you don't get it that often. I did some testing on it, and you get it roughly every 40-ish seconds if you're like spamming damage. So it's not great, but I don't know. Like it could be okay, but you also can't like attack with your pets. Your pets cannot go through LOS. So in general, I don't think Sentinel Owl is going to be amazing, but there might be some niche circumstances where it is good. And again, with the allowing your party members to attack. As far as I know, you can't leap through the pillars because Survivor can't harpoon, so I imagine Feral can't dash or do the wild charge either. So yeah, I don't think this one's going to be played that much either. Binding Shackles, this is good. So whenever you stun a target with Intimidation, they'll do 10% less damage to you. So it can be useful if you don't need the stun for the healer, just use on the DPS if you're getting trained, just so you take a little bit less damage. This next node is Keen Eyesight. This isn't that great, crit increased by 4%, it's okay, but the main thing you want it for is Death Chakram. And Death Chakram does a decent amount of damage per use, around 48,000 with Honor Gear. And this is a decent amount of damage, but it also increases the amount of damage you deal to a target by 10%. So this is the main use of Death Chakram, and it's a low cooldown as well. So in general, it's going to be very, very good. Now we get to Serrated Shots. And this increases your bleed damage by 20%. So this is really, really good because it means Barb Shot is going to be ticking 20% more. And you'll notice the pattern with Barb Shot is that it's going to be doing a lot of damage, especially early season. So it's just tuned really high, and Barb Shot just seems to be doing a lot of damage. Beastmaster, pet damage increased by 6%. This is good, but it's not insane. The reason you're doing it is to get Alpha Predator. This means that your kill command now has 2 charges and it deals 15% more damage. Along with this one, increases kill command damage by 10%. So if I search here, you'll see that a lot of the nodes actually buff kill command, or they have modifiers with kill command. And this is meaning that kill command is now going to be almost your main damage alongside Barb Shot. So as you can see, there's a lot of modifiers for Barb Shot. So this is it for the main hunter tree. And I'll point out as well, Explosive Shot could be good. However, Arctic Bowler normally won't be very good, mainly because it can break traps. So yeah, I just wouldn't recommend going for the Explosive Shot. Perhaps maybe someday if they change it around, then it could be very, very good to play with Explosive Shot instead. But currently, I think this is the best hunter build, at least for BM. And now I'll go into the BM specific tree. So in this tree, you can start off with Cobra Shot, and then obviously you're going to want Barb Shot, and then you're going to want to go all the way down this right one, as all of these will buff your Barb Shot damage. This one buffs it by 40%, which is massive, considering Barb Shot is going to be a huge proportion of your damage. This one increases the pet damage. This one, again, increases kill command damage. So as you can see, there is a lot of things modifying your pets and your kill command. This Bloodshed, this seems very, very good. The bleed itself isn't great, but it increases your damage by 15% on that target for 18 seconds on a 1 minute cooldown. So this basically lines up perfectly with your burst with Death Chakram, as it's only a minute cooldown, and it lasts for 18 seconds, right? So this is going to be really, really good because it also increases kill command damage. So when I was testing this, kill command with Bloodshed was doing an average of 30,166 damage per cast with Bloodshed with full honor gear. So Bloodshed does seem to be extremely good compared to 26k without Bloodshed. So I would recommend running Bloodshed, especially for the extra bit of burst damage. I think it's going to be extremely strong. Then you're going to want the passive focus regen, mainly just because focus, you will get started if you don't have this one, and it's only 1 point, so you might as well. And you also want Aspect of the Beast. This increases the damage of your pet's abilities by 30%. So yeah, this one is basically mandatory. This was a final row talent of Shadowlands, and now they've made it here. Animal Companion, this is the one that lets you have 2 pets. I'd almost always run this, just because it's a nice bit of added damage. Thrill of the Hunt is also very good, mainly because you want to get Beast of Wrath, and this is the most optimal way to go. So you sort of have to take 3. Beast of Wrath works exactly how it normally does. It still removes all your pets from CC, so it's still extremely good. Again, you want this to reduce the cooldown of Beast of Wrath whenever you press Barb Shot. Wild Call, 25% chance to reset the cooldown of Barb Shot. Again, this is just good. This was from Shadowlands, or well, it was in Shadowlands as well. So yeah, just stay with this. And then you got one with the Pact as well. But I'll explain another situation or another type of talents we can use later as well. So you got Center Blood, and this is whenever you Beast of Wrath, you get the 2 stacks of Barb Shot. This is almost mandatory just for making your pet do extra damage, or well, yeah, your pet do extra damage with the increased attack speed from Barb Shot. so keeping the 3 stacks of Barb Shot is really important still. Then for this node, you have a choice, either Piercing Fangs or Killer Cobra. Piercing Fangs will be good, as your crit isn't that high, but when it will crit, it will be nice amounts of extra damage. And Killer Cobra can be good, but it's hard to optimize it because you will still need to keep up stacks. You might need to heal, you might need to feign death or like disengage and run away. So it could be hard to optimize, and also if you fully optimize it, you will run out of focus. So yeah, in general, I'm going to probably pick Piercing Fangs, but Killer Cobra is an option. And now for Stomp. Stomp deals around 10k damage per use of Barb Shot, so it's a nice little bit of extra burst. However, you do need to be careful that Stomp isn't AoE around the target, so that it can break stuff such as traps. So that's just something to keep in mind when using the Stomp talent. And then this build is mainly a build with Dire Beasts. And they'll summon whenever you press kill command. There's a 30% chance for it to summon, and it'll attack the target. They won't always get full uptime because they could be rooted or stunned, but they do seem to be doing a lot of additional damage, which is just helpful because with the sustain, BM is going to be really, really hard to heal. And what I was saying with one with the Pact is you could remove this node and you could take an actual Dire Beast cast. This is probably what I will be doing. However, it is a bit clunky to press, and it's not the best button. It doesn't feel that satisfying to press, to be honest. But for one global, it dealt around 20k per cast with full honor gear and increasing your haste. So it's not a bad global to press. And then yeah, like it's not a bad global to press, but it's not. It doesn't feel that great to press, to be honest. But it will be quite good, I think. Some other build that we did test as well was trying to go with Call of the Wild. Call of the Wild should be really good, but it really is just underwhelming. It's a 3-minute cooldown where it summons 2 of the pets, and during this time, they'll just keep attacking your target. And that sounds good, right? But it only did 60k in the entire 20 seconds of the cast. So it's like 3k DPS, so it's not that high, especially when kill command is hitting around 25 to 30k. And then even with this, it was still only doing 90k over the 20 seconds. So in general, I don't think this is going to be worth running. There are some other optional talents which you can pick into certain things. For example, Steel Trap can be good into melees, which you're going to need to kite, such as DHs or warriors. And then that's pretty much all you're going to want to change in the Hunter tree. Like you can run Scare Beast if you need it, for example, versus Jungle, where you're going to want to be fearing the Feral. In the Beast Mastery tree, there is one build that I haven't actually tested, but I think it could be quite fun, which is this build here. And it isn't a final build, but basically what it is you're now going to be pressing multi-shot, beast cleave, and kill cleave. Kill cleave will basically make your kill command AoE. So this could be really good into double melee, for example, Ret Warrior, or double melee that won't focus you. So if a Ret Warrior is not focusing the Hunter, this could be really, really good, as it means that you're just going to be doing large amounts of cleave damage to both of them. And it could be like really, really good versus Resto Druid, just so that you're able to them a lot quicker. But just a pre-warning, I haven't tested this, so if you do actually give it a go, do let me know and let me know what you think of it. But yeah, so I think the build that you will be running is this one here. And if you are wanting to, you swap out one with the Pact and you put a skill into Dire Beast instead. I'll just go over the honor talents. They're very similar to how they were in Shadowlands, but I'll go over them anyway just in case you guys didn't play. Firstly, we have Bestial Wrath. This can be really good into things that fear you a lot, so Warlocks, Shadow Priest are the main ones really. Dire Beast Hawk, this is not going to be very good. Also, there's a bug right now so that when I hover over it, sometimes it will show the talent underneath, so you'll have to excuse that. Dire Beast Hawk, summons a hawk and it will just go around in a circle and deal damage. This isn't really a very good talent, as people can just walk out of it. Same with the Basilisk, it's very slow moving, and even though it lasts a long time, it generally will not hit the enemy that much at all. Interlope, this could be very good, but it's a very high skill cap to use and quite annoying to use, as you have to have very good pet management and you have to have the pet right next to the target. So in general, Interlope isn't going to be great, although it can be annoying if you know exactly how to use it. But yeah, in general, it's not normally the best talent pick. Dragon Scale Armor just increases or decreases the amount of damage that magical dots deal to you. This can be very good versus stuff like Affliction Warlock or Shadow Priest, especially now that you don't have Craven, so that you can't remove all of the dots when you feign death. Another thing to note about the Craven, or not having Craven now, is that whenever you feign death, you will now get feared or silenced. If you have Unstable Affliction on you, or say Vampiric Touch. Chimeral Sting, this is basically what you're always going to run, or versus a lot of things where you're going to need to use a silence. This can be very good versus almost all casters, or even almost all healers as well. The only time I wouldn't recommend running this is, say, if you're playing with a Shadow Priest, as it will DR their silence. And what this does is it does a bit of damage, then it will reduce their enemy's movement speed by 90%, it will then silence for 3 seconds, and then reduce the amount of damage and healing they take by 20% for a further 3 seconds. Hunting Pack will just reduce the cooldown of aspect of the cheetah, and now it will be a AoE aspect of the cheetah really. So this can be very good, but it's very, very situational. So yeah, in general, it's okay, but it's not normally something that I would pick. Tranquilizing Dart is very good versus Wrestle Druids, and it can also be good versus Evokers now to get their Nullifying Shroud, especially if you don't have another Purge in your team. So yeah, Trank Darts can be very, very good, and I'd run it versus every Wrestle Druid, and sometimes versus Evokers, especially if you don't have a Purge. Wild Kingdom is also very good if you know for a fact that you won't, that they'll be killing your pet. Because when you use it, it will summon another pet from your stable, and your current pet will go back to the stables and heal, and then come back after 10 seconds. So this can also confuse the enemies, but in general, this is a good talent if you know they're going to tunnel down your pets. Kindred is, it will reduce your ability, unique ability by 50%, and it can grant additional effects. So for example, with the Ferocity pet that I have now, it'll allow me to use Primal Rage, which is basically like a little hero in Arena, although do bear in mind that it can be spell stolen or purged. So now we've got Diamond Ice, and Diamond Ice will basically make your trap into a Cyclone, however now it only lasts for 5 seconds. This is really good into Demon Hunter teams, as it means they can no longer reverse magic the traps. You can also use it on DPS now if you want to tunnel the healers, because the healers can't dispel the trap. And now I'll talk about survival tactics, and what this does is whenever you feign death, you remove all magical effects on you and you gain a shield for 1.5 seconds. This shield is really good versus stuff like Destro Warlock, because even if a Chaos Spell is in the air, if you feign death, then it will be absorbed by the shield. I'd run this into most things, especially casters and rogues. And finally, but definitely not least, we have Roar of Sacrifice. And what Roar of Sacrifice does is that for 12 seconds, it will protect one of your team members or yourself from critical strikes. Something to note is that your pet will take 20% of the damage taken by the target, so it's important not to let your pet die. This is extremely important against fire mages because of their combustion, and also against stuff such as double melees, where they're going to be doing a lot of burst damage, and Roar of Sacrifice will reduce the damage which their burst will do. So now that I've talked about the talents and honor talents, I'll now talk about the rotation. And some of you will be surprised to hear that the rotation is completely different to how it was in Shadowlands. So in Shadowlands, the main damage was coming from Cobra Shot, and you didn't really need to press kill command at all. However, now that is the complete reverse. However, you still do want to press Cobra Shot. So your opener is going to try and be 2 barb shots just to get the 2 stacks. Then you're going to want to Beast Your Wrath, then barb shot, and then you're going to want to spam kill command. Use barb shot when it's going to run out, or when you're on 2 stacks. And then you just want to be pressing Cobra Shot whenever you don't have either a kill shot, a kill command, or a barb shot ready. Like, Cobra Shot is now your least priority because it does the least damage. So as you can see here, my top damage is barb shot, followed by, kill command is top because it's got the 2 components. Then it's barb shot, then auto shot, then pet damage, then pet ability. Then it will be Cobra Shot down here. Kill command also doesn't do that much damage at the moment, but I do think that will change when people get full gear. So at the moment, kill shot is doing slightly less damage than a kill command, but I would still recommend pressing kill shot for the chance that it crits, because on a kill shot crit, then it will do more than the kill command because you are running at this talent, which increases the kill shot's critical damage. Then you're going to be wanting to press Death Chakram pretty much every time you use Bestial Wrath, as this will increase the damage that you deal to a target by 10%. Also, whenever you press Death Chakram, you're going to want to try and press Bloodshed as well, as Bloodshed increases your pet's damage by a further 15%. So this all lines up to mean that your kill command is going to hit very, very hard, because it will be doing the increased damage from the Bestial Wrath, increased damage from the Bloodshed, and then also the increased damage from the Death Chakram. So BM doesn't actually have that much burst damage compared to some other classes at the moment, but the sustained damage from BM is extremely high at the moment as well. So in general, you always want to be pressing kill command off cooldown, barb shot whenever you're going to lose stacks or if you have 2 stacks of it, kill command when it procs, Death Chakram in line with barb shots or in line with Bestial Wrath and Bloodshed if you can, and then Cobra Shot when you have none of these buttons to press. The only reason you even press Cobra Shot really is to get the reduced cooldown on the kill command. But you do need to be careful not to overpress Cobra Shot, because since you're not running the additional 20 focus, you can actually be focus starved. But this shouldn't really be a problem if you're managing your barb shot stacks well, and you're just managing your cooldowns properly. So yeah, that is the rotation for BM in Dragonflight. It is still relatively simple, however you do now have more utility with spells such as Scatter and the Tar Trap Root, so this is really nice as it allows you to be slightly more useful to your team instead of just bringing a lot of damage. Okay, so now that we've talked about talents and rotation, I will now talk about the best compositions for BM Hunter in Dragonflight. So obviously this is all theory crafting, as we haven't actually played any arena yet, apart from a couple of war games. So we're not going to be entirely sure what the best comps are. But ones that are looking very strong now are Jungle, so with a Feral and a Disc Priest, alongside the BM Hunter, and then Scatter as well. So Scatter is with a Shadow Priest, a Resto Druid, or maybe an Evoker, alongside the BM Hunter. So the best healers for BM Hunter in 3v3 are most likely going to be Disc Priest and Evoker. Evoker we're yet to see that much of in Arena as people are still learning the class, but I do think it's going to be a very strong healer. The only downside of it is that it has the 30-yard range, which can be difficult versus certain comps. But in general, they are extremely strong, they do extremely high levels of damage as well, which can be really nice in jungle especially. Other comps which you can play and that might be very good is Thug, but this is all dependent on Rogue, and I haven't actually played any Thug or played against any Rogues in Dragonflight, so I'm not entirely sure how this will be. But I can imagine it being quite strong, as Rogues are normally a fairly good class. Even if they don't provide that much damage, they do provide a lot of CC. Other comps which will probably be decent but not the best will be PHP, which is with a Rep Pala. But personally, I also find this comp extremely boring to play, as your kill windows are pretty much set around the Rep having cooldowns, and I don't really like this playstyle. Then there is KFC, which is with a warrior. But in general, this comp isn't going to be great unless both classes deal insane amounts of damage, because you don't really have any off healing and you don't have that much CC. So it might be okay, but probably not that great. And then Hunter DK as well. Hunter DK is probably going to be okay, but I don't think it'll be as good as Shadowlands Season 4. Yeah, I think it'll be okay, just not as good as it was. So the main comps will be Scatter and Jungle. I'm pretty sure of this. And then the main healers are going to either be with a Evoker, Resto Druid for Scatter, and then for Jungle it's probably going to be a Disc Priest and perhaps an Evoker. I'll now talk about stats of BM Hunter and Dragonflight, and the main stats which I think you're going to want to go for is going to be Haste and Versatility. However, I don't think Mastery is necessarily going to be that bad, just because it increases the damage of your pets. And because Kill Command is now your main damage source alongside Barb Shot, I do think that it will actually be worth taking some Mastery. But Versa will almost always be the main stat for PvP, just for the increased survivability and damage that it brings. And then Haste is really, really nice, just for making the rotation feel slightly smoother. And keep in mind the stat values are a lot lower because it is the first season. And then for trinkets, you're going to want to run with, if you're a human, you could even run double DPS trinket because you now have Relentless built into the trinket bonus. So you don't need to run a Relentless anymore. And if you're human, then I would recommend running 2 DPS trinkets or a DPS and a survivability trinket, for example, badge and insignia, or insignia and emblem. This is because you have will to survive, and this basically acts as a stun removal, so you don't really need the trinket. And if you're not human, then swap out either the DPS trinket or the survivability trinket for a medallion. And finally, for this video, I'm going to talk about pets in Dragonflight for a BM Hunter. So there's three main families of pets, and that is Frosty, Cunning, and Tenacity. I'd recommend having at least one of each. So for the Tenacity pet, I recommend a River Beast. This is because they have mortal wounds, and they also provide you with the Tenacity baseline ability, which is changed now. It is now Fortitude of the Bear. So this increases the max health of you and your pet by 20% for 10 seconds. This is different because it used to be Survival of the Fittest, but now that is a baseline talent. One thing to notice though is that when your pet is stunned, you will not be able to use Fortitude of the Bear. It's similar to how Survival of the Fittest used to work. However, now Survival of the Fittest works when you are stunned. You cannot use it, even if your pet is out of CC. Whereas Fortitude of the Bear, if you are out of CC but your pet is stunned, you will still not be able to use Fortitude of the Bear. So this is a very good pet to run versus, say, Rogue Mage, or even Rogues in general in 2s, just because they can do extremely high damage. Or you can also run this pet versus other things where you know for a fact that you're not going to need the Freedom from the Cunning pet. So as for the Cunning pet, I'd recommend a Raptor. Again, has mortal wounds, and the benefit that the Cunning pet brings is a Master's Call. And that is a freedom on a 45-second cooldown or 23 seconds when you are running the Kindred Beast talent. And this can be used on yourself or on your party members just to help them kite, and so they can't be rooted or slowed. So it can be really, really good, especially with Kindred Beasts, to use it versus Ret Warrior or stuff like Turbo, where you're going to need to be kiting a lot, because if you tank their damage, then you are going to die, because you just can't heal through the damage. You do need to kite a lot as a hunter. And it can also be good if your healer needs to kite, for example, maybe versus DHs or DKs, where they're just going to like train them, and it will just help your healer get away. So now I'll talk about the Ferocity pet, which I'm using a Scorpion, again, because it has mortal wounds, and it provides you Leech as the baseline for the Ferocity. It also gives you Primal Rage, which is a 12% hero for a 20-second duration, which is really good, but do keep in mind that it can be spell stolen or purged, so you do want to keep this in mind when using it. But in general, this is good versus teams where you need the extra leech to survive, for example, against Shadowplay. So yeah, in general, Scorpion versus Double Caster, where you don't need Freedom. Tenacity versus Rogue Mage, and then Freedom versus almost everything else. I also have an Undead Raptor, as this can be very good versus things such as Resto Druids, which will try and spam hibernate your pet sometimes, which is good because an undead pet cannot be hibernated, but do keep in mind versus classes like Paladin or Priest, they're able to use Turn Evil to CC it or Shackle Undead. So that's all for this video, and I hope you enjoyed. A huge thank you to Disyo for helping me with a lot of the testing, which involved many things, including hitting dummies and dueling for hours late at night, which isn't the most fun thing in the world, but it does mean that I can bring you guys the best possible content with the most accurate information. I hope you're all as excited for the season as I am, and if you did find this video helpful, feel free to subscribe as it does help me out a lot, and if you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord or let me know in the comments. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll hopefully see you all in my next video. Peace out.